Welcome, everybody, to Tea Time, Wager Talk's official golf show. Joining me, as always, Dave Cokin, Nick Borrman, fresh off the PGA Championship. Very entertaining tournament, especially the last round. Full of winners, full of excitement. We have a budding new star in the sport. Let's just get right into it, guys. One of us gave out an incredible winner. Made a lot of money for the clients. Of course, I'm talking about Brendan Steele over Eric Van Rooyen. First round. No, I'm kidding. Nick, congratulations, man. You picked Colin Morikawa. Got an incredible price at it. Just walk us through how you picked Morikawa before the tournament started at 35-1. Great price.
35-1. Yeah, I mean, Dave hit on it when we were talking after the show that we're probably not going to see him at a price like that for quite a while, if ever again, unless he goes through a funk. But I mean, his iron game, his approach is just that good. I don't think this is something any of us were surprised about by any means. That everything's been there. He's been playing very, very well. He obviously won, 3 weeks ago, whatever the workday, whatever that was. He's only missed one cut in his now 27 starts. Now his third title. I mean, again, it's just you could see it coming from a mile away. And his value was very good. It was when you hit the ball, you're that good with your irons. I mean, Tiger was and will always be known as probably the best iron player that ever lived, and it was hard to compete with that. So you're giving yourself chances on every green, and if he's continually doing that, you're going to miss a few tee shots. You can get away with it. You can give yourself enough chances. And honestly, the first couple rounds, he shot a new major record, 129 on the weekend, which was the lowest ever. The Thursday and Friday, he didn't play badly. He just wasn't really making his putts. He had a couple misses here and there, and the numbers were still there. Luckily, it was just something that I liked early. I think he's going to be awesome to watch as we go forward. And unfortunately, I think we'll probably not see many more chances. We're going to get him at that number, but just happy to get
that's done. That's done. He's liable to be the favorite in the next major going in. And, you look at Sunday, and I knew as soon as he holed out from on a chip, on a hole that he looks like he's going to take a potential bogey, and he turns it into a birdie. Yeah. That's like, this thing's pretty close to over. And then he does something that the more established guys didn't do on 16. He took out the driver, and he said, I'm going to drive this ball onto the green. And he eagles the hole, eagles the par 4, and that was clearly the end of the tournament. Everybody else could leave at that point. I think they were doing an interview with Jason Day, and the girl says, I forgot her name. She says, well, stick around. And he gave her a look like, why? Because he knew the tournament was over at that point. And Morikawa is the guy now. He is the best. Just call it straight. He's the best player in the world right now. No doubt about it in my mind.
Yeah, he's probably player of the year right now. I would struggle to put somebody above him right now. I mean, obviously we got the last part of the season is going to tell us a lot, but I mean, right now it's hard to pick somebody's resume over him. I did want to talk about some other guys that didn't win that were up at the top that I think we're going to see some real opportunities to make some money on. I want to get your guys' thought. Along with Morikawa, I really want to talk Matthew Wolff. He was fade material for me for a lot of the year. And immediately overnight, I saw something with his game, and I've been betting on him and winning. He looks really good. He's fixed the inconsistencies in his swing. His driver is not so out of control. I was really impressed with how he played. Dave, thoughts on Matthew Wolff and that quirky swing that seems to be working at an elite level right now?
Well, there's 3 or 4 guys that are in the same conversation with Morikawa. Hovland, I think Neiman could potentially get into that mix. He's very young. And Wolff certainly belongs in it. I mean, I cringe every time I look at him swing because it looks like he's going to – I just don't – but I used to do that with Furyk too because Furyk had this weird swing. It's like if you tried to replicate that, you're probably going to hit the ball somewhere where you don't want to hit it. But it works for Matthew Wolff, and he clearly is a guy who is building immunity to any pressure. And he looks like he's going to win a lot of golf tournaments moving forward. I think he's quickly establishing himself as one who's going to be in the mix for value in some of the majors, because he won't get priced quite as high, or as low, I should say, as some other guys. And I think it's just a matter of time before he breaks through and wins one.
Agreed. Nick, Jason Day has the resurgent Jason Day. Looks like the old Jason Day. What have you seen? This is 4 weeks or 4 tournaments in a row with impressive finishes from him, looking like the world-class player that he was. Nick, what are you seeing out of his game that he's turned it around?
Well, one, he's healthy, right? We always talked about his back issues, and he doesn't seem to be showing any signs of that right now. So he's healthy. That's number one. And his iron game is really, really strong right now. He was just fantastic, tee to green. He was right up there with everybody, and he's been consistent. I mean, it's good to see. He was a guy we were all talking about the first few weeks. I mean, I was betting him to miss cuts and getting paid for it because he just didn't have it. And to his defense, he really wasn't playing. He seems to be playing, again, because he's healthy, regularly now. He actually led the field this past week in shots gained on approach. So it's clear that his iron game is there. His driver's, decent. It's always right in the middle of the pack, but his iron game, and that's what kind of separated him when he was winning a few years back and when he won the PGA before, it's there. And as long as he stayed healthy, there's no reason to think he won't continue. No,
and I'll tell you something else. He's having fun.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is as loose as anybody out there. He's having a good time. I mean, he had a bad shot on one hole. It was a bad drive. And he just kind of smiled and not getting upset about it at all. He's on an even keel right now. I think he's got it all together. And I think the problem was clearly the back issue and just health issues in general. And they look to be in the rearview mirror right now. And I think he's going to win soon. Jason Day will probably be a take for me in every tournament until he wins one. And I don't think that's going to take very long.
So we want to talk about some guys that we think we're not recapping to be the highlight show talking about last week. We want to find guys that we found value in. So I want to talk about a couple guys who have been fade material, at least for me. Rory McIlroy is fade material right now. I hit Dustin Johnson at a crazy plus 150. I couldn't believe DJ was plus 150 against him. His wedges are just a disaster right now. And I'm not sure what's going on completely with his game, if it's fixable soon. Nick, what are you seeing when you watch Rory play?
He's not making any putts, first
Shocker.
of all. Besides not getting as good, he's not putting well. I mean, he's the guy that was probably one of the hottest going into the pause. The COVID break did him no well. Since we returned, he hasn't done anything. And he went through the same issue, I guess it was last year. I don't know if it was the year before when he switched irons. And he had a huge lull where he just wasn't making any noise. And then all of a sudden it clicked. So he's a guy that once he gets one where he's up there top 5, he's going to be there for a while. But he struggles to get it going and struggles to kind of find that fire, I guess you could say, and find that rhythm. But I'll just say this. Once he gets back up there and gets that first top 5, start to bet him consistently because he'll be there. He's a very, very streaky type of guy, but it looks like his confidence is down. He's not making any putts. That's not going to help you when you're pushing around. You're missing greens and you just know you have to get it to 2 feet. Otherwise, you're not going to get up and down anymore. It's tough to play like that.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think about Rory?
He'll come roaring back at some point, but I won't be there when he does because I'm gonna have to get a buy sign, and he'll probably win the tournament that he offers the buy sign in. He'll have some extra motivation now because he's kind of out of the conversation as number 1 at this point, and I think that's going to fire him up. And there's not really anything in his game that's that. It's not like he's turning into Spieth out there where he's going to shoot at 7 on one hole inevitably. Well, that's become the problem with Spieth. I mean, you can't win tournaments when you're almost guaranteed a double or a triple someplace along the line. Rory's not doing that. He's just not at the top of his game right now, but he will be again.
As a quick joke, we use the term Spieth as a verb when my buddies and I go out and play, and you Spiethed it when you go out there and you throw an 8 up real quick out of nowhere. So it's called Spieth.
You know it's coming. It does amuse me. I know the announcers feel bad for him clearly, but they're hard to build him up, and the only one who can build him up is himself.
True.
The announcers aren't going to do it for him, and it is just at this point inevitable that he's going to hit 2 really bad shots in a row on some hole, where he'll get himself in trouble, and then he'll hit the ball into the water. And you just can't do that and win tournaments. I'm not saying he's turning into David Duval, who went from number 1 in the world to like number 1,000,001, but he's not. Keep saying this. He's not a top 50 player at this point. He just isn't. And he's a guy who, quite frankly, you should immediately dismiss as an outright possibility, and to me, even a top 20 possibility. Looking at tournaments, you're not going to get any value from him because his name is Spieth, and he's still regarded as a good player. But he's a guy who should be priced somewhere. Honestly, he should be 100 to 120 to 1 range, and he's not. Well, he should.
No, you're right.
That's what he is right now. I'm not saying that to be funny. That's where he is right now. And he's not. So he's a guy you have to basically throw out or look to fade in matchups.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All of our golf picks can be found on wagertalk.com. Nick's doing great in soccer. Dave's doing great in baseball. I'm doing great in NASCAR. So along with all of our golf picks on Wager Talk, you can find our other sports. One guy I wanted to talk about, to me, the surprise performance of the weekend was Paul Casey. I didn't see a second place coming from that guy. I just didn't. So miscut.
He actually played well on Sunday.
Yes.
And
yes.
I didn't use it this week, but he might be the guy I regret not using. He's had some success on this course. He's coming off what I think is going to be a confidence-building second. And I say that because whether he would ever admit it or not, or whether the talking heads want to talk about it or not, he's been a brutal Sunday player, particularly with leads. He just can't get it done. And I thought the fact that he played as well as he did on Sunday at a major is a very good sign for Casey. I didn't take him this week, probably because I took one short price, and I'll just tell you, that's Simpson. I threw him on my ticket. But I wouldn't be surprised if Casey might be ready to break through and win a tournament.
On my Twitter feed, I sent something out I said the exact same thing on social media, Dave. I said, it's Sunday and I'm watching Paul Casey make big shots. I can't believe it. And somebody made the point, and I was like, oh, haha, wait, that's a good point. The no crowds. the no pressure with the no crowds. Nick, there might be something to that, right? Yes? Without the crowds there?
Jason
before Nick answers, let me throw one other thing in, though, because I think that matters. He had no expectations coming into this tournament either. He'd missed the cut in at least 3 straight events. Yeah, 3 straight events he'd missed the cut. So he's playing lousy golf, and nobody was regarding him as a possible winner here. Now he's going to get regarded as a possible winner again coming out of that event, and we'll see if he can handle that.
Yeah, he's the third favorite this week, and you're right. I mean, he was struggling big time coming into that, and I certainly wasn't on him pre-tournament, and it wasn't until maybe after the first round, or maybe it was on the telecast during the first round, they talked about him and that he was working really, really hard in his game for 3 weeks leading up to the PGA. He took off because he was struggling, and he led the field in shots gained tee to green after the first round, finished second in the tournament behind none other than Matthew Wolff, actually, who led the field. So it's just a good sign of things to come for him. But he's third favorite now this week. So the value went right out of the floor under him after that finish. But he was great.
And I was wrong. He'd missed 2 cuts, and then he actually made the cut in the tournament the prior week, but he didn't play well. The guy who'd missed 3 cuts and played well was Rose. He got a top 10, and he was in horrible form. So maybe that's a good sign for Justin Rose, who's also in the field.
Cameron on Dave, this one is absolutely for you. Cameron on YouTube says even tied second, Tony Finau played well on Sunday. Didn't expect that one either.
Better, but there was a point in the tournament where it's like, geez, Finau's making shots, and then guess what happened? He did it. He did a Finau. He's got all the ability in the world. He's clearly, in my opinion, one of the 10 best golfers in the world. But he needs to win someplace to get that feel. And I don't care how much he says otherwise. I don't think he's got the belief in himself on Sundays. And we won't see him out there this week. We'll see what happens next week. But until he breaks through, he remains in that category where I can't bet him outright. He's a fouler for me. Even if I like him in a tournament, it's like I might do something with him, but it's not going to be to win.
Let's start to segue into the Wyndham this week. Not a real sexy tournament by any stretch, but someone that's playing this week that heads the leaderboard is Brooks Koepka. Man, talked a big game and then fell short on Sunday. That was one of the more shocking rounds I've seen in a long time. Nick, concern or just one of those random rounds that got away from him early, and once he realized he was out of it, cause for concern with Brooks?
You could throw that out there once he kind of made a couple bogeys early. I mean, listen, he did a good job on Saturday. He made 3 straight bogeys on the back 9 and then birdied 16 and 18 and made a little, gesture at the camera to say, all right, you better look out for me tomorrow. But I don't know. I mean, he didn't make any friends, that's for sure. Not that he had many beforehand, but all his comments this week talking crap on pretty much everybody certainly did not make any friends this week. And I don't know. He's at his price right now. His price was right. Over the last few weeks. Now it's kind of crept back up again, and he's the second favorite this week. So right now where he's at value-wise, I won't be betting on him. And I don't think, again, until we see him, I think he's going to contend. I don't think he's just going to fall off the planet and be nowhere. I think he's always going to be a threat, but he's not somebody I'm looking at this week for sure. We'll see if my opinion changes in the next few weeks, but I don't think there's a huge cause for concern. I think he's a guy that you kind of call him like a Dustin Johnson in a way where once Dustin knows he's out of it. And listen, Koepka is going for the win. It doesn't matter to finish second or third or whether it doesn't finish 20th. So once he was out, I think you're right. I think he kind of just played it out.
I'm actually surprised he's playing this week.
Yeah, me too.
I am too.
I guess he was committed to it. But his history is that these are not the type of tournaments he does real well in.
6 straight starts, Dave. 6 straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With 2 missed cuts, a 60-second, and the Sunday disaster.
Yep. You could use
I think he's Brooks Koepka, so you got to say 11-1, 12-1, but I think he's more like 20-1 this week. I mean, that doesn't mean he's a long shot by any means, because if he goes out there and plays well, he can win. But I don't know. To me, I think he showed up Sunday fired up. It all went bad, and I just don't know that he's going to get excited about the Wyndham.
No. I don't think any of us are super excited about the Wyndham. We're excited about betting opportunities, but it's kind of the lull before the huge finish to the PGA season. So let's talk about the Wyndham. Fairly easy course. Played as the second easiest par 70 on tour. Nick, you're pretty good at knowing courses. Explain a little bit about what the players can expect with this course this week.
Well, it's short, first of all, so you got a lot of guys. You don't need to be a bomber to be able to win here. The rough is standard 2.5 inches, so it still does give the advantage to somebody that can hit it far to have a shorter club in, but it doesn't also take out the shorter hitters. One guy I'll talk about that may surprise people because he's got a good history here, and he does very, very well on short courses. Is none other than Jimmy Furyk. 2 weeks ago on the Champions Tour debut, right? And he's number 1 on tour in fairway driving accuracy and greens and regulation. So he won the yardage. I just want to throw this out there. The yardage 2 weeks ago when he won at the Champions Tour is the exact same as it is this week. The guy, he hits greens. So he'll be there at the end. I promise you that. He will be there. I think he's a good, fun play this week. 100-1. Do I think he's going to win? No. But top 20 plus 400? I don't see why not. He's got a great record at this event. 3 times and 3 top 10s he's played here.
I'm a little surprised he's that high. I would have made it. I made it more like 75-1, which doesn't mean I think he's going to win. And I honestly don't think he'll win another 4-round event on the PGA Tour. It's 50-year-olds just don't do that. Right. But he certainly could contend, and he's in good form. I think top 20 makes some sense there.
I'll also throw out he's only 7,200 on DraftKings for you daily players. I mean, that is 7,200 for a guy like that plunks it in the fairway and is hitting greens and makes some shots. I'll take that in my DraftKings lineup all day long. Dave, let's talk some of the bigger names. There's a pretty big drop off once you get past some of these guys. So we got Brooks Koepka, Webb Simpson. Then you're Patrick Reed, Fleetwood, Casey, Rose. Any of these guys jumping out to you that have an advantage?
Well, yeah, Webb. I mean, look at Webb Simpson. I mean, he owns this golf course. Look at this. Second, third, the 72nd, 6th, 5th, 11th, 22nd, 1st, and 8th. Yeah. That's a pretty good 9 or 10-year resume.
Yeah.
It's his kind of course. I think he rates being the favorite this week. And even and I think 10-1 is a legit price on him, to be honest with you. I don't think you're getting robbed on value or anything like that. I think he is about a 10-1 here. And therefore, if you're playing outrights, I think you better include him on the ticket because he's probably going to be in the mix on Sunday.
Yeah, I had a bet going on Webb, and it didn't cash. I was disappointed with how he played on Sunday. But before that, he was pretty good on a course that didn't really fit his game that well. But this shorter course where it's all about getting it close to the pin and putting really suits him well. Patrick Reed, what an enigma. Nick, when was the last time you actually had an outright on Patrick Reed, and are you even going to have one moving forward? I just don't see how you...
I haven't had one on him in a while, to answer that question. He's a guy I pick on or against at the wrong weeks when I do head-to-head matchups. I never get him right. It's like, oh, this is going to be the week, and then he misses the cut. And they're like, he's not going to play well this week. Top 5. I'm like, I don't understand this guy. So I'm not playing him. 16-1, I think, right? 17-1, something like that right now this week. I can't get my money on him this week. Yeah. I got to see something from him. He hasn't had any really consistency going yet so far.
I made him 15-1. So, I've got him as my third choice, but that's not good enough to bet. And his form is
Yeah.
I would look elsewhere. He just isn't putting together great rounds, and you got to win. You got to put together great rounds to win.
There's one guy I always feel a little icky putting money on. It's Tommy Fleetwood because he's the king of getting your hopes up on Friday with like a -6, and then does his Sunday thing with +4. However, he's played in 3 straight PGA tournaments. He's gotten better every week. Missed cut off of his first one back, then 35th, then 29th. He's not played here. It almost feels like a Tommy Fleetwood type tournament where watered down field, not a whole lot of competition. He could be one of the only bigger names up at the top. Dave, is Fleetwood going to be anywhere near your radar?
Got to make a putt. Nah, the putter's just not there. You got to make a putt, and he's just not making those difference-making putts, and that means he's got to be really good at every other aspect. No course experience to me is somewhat of a negative on a more of a precision course like this one. He's certainly a leaderboard candidate, but I don't think there's any value on him in the 16-1 range. I think you can go bigger price this week and find some value guys that have a good chance to finish ahead of him.
Let's talk Casey and Rose. Nick, Rose is right up your alley. Casey coming off a 2nd, Rose coming off a 9th. Both these guys were terrible before this. What do you expect from these guys?
Casey, I think he's going to be there again this week. Again, the numbers behind the numbers, right? The shots gained numbers, tee to green were there. I mean, 2nd in the field. That speaks volumes to how well he played tee to green this week. And he probably would have won if it wasn't for Morikawa. I mean, he was tied. He definitely could have had that thing won. Rose
he likes the course too.
Yes,
he likes this.
Absolutely. Rose is a fade for me this week. I bet him a few weeks ago, a couple times in a row on courses he loved at the Memorial and the Workday. But he finished 9th, but he had the lowest shots gained tee to green numbers of any of the top 20 finishers. He was, on contrast, he was 3rd best shots gained putting in the field. So that just means think of Bryson's 95-footer, right? Scorecard for the tournament's only going to tell what you actually shot, but are you giving yourself enough chances? And the numbers behind there tell me that he really wasn't. He made a few long putts. He made a few other putts that he kept him in contention. But if you really watched him on Thursday and Friday, he really wasn't playing that great. He was just scrambling. He was getting up and down, and he was making some putts when he needed to, which always matters. But I want a guy that's consistently getting himself chances. Even if he's not making the putts, they will fall if you give yourself 10, 15 footers every hole. And he just,
I got
just
a great question from Cameron on the YouTube channel. Nick, I'll start with you and then go to Dave. This is a great one at this time of year. Are you guys targeting anyone outside the top 125 FedEx standings? Are you taking this motivation to make it into account with any of your bets? Nick, I'll start with you and then I'll go to Dave.
Well, I mean, that's what you have a lot of playing in this tournament, right? It's that tournament.
Real quick,
you're
Nick,
150th.
Nick, Cameron wants to know if we're looking at Sergio, Shane Lowry, Zach Johnson, or possibly Jonathan Vegas. Okay, now go.
Good, thanks for the answers. To answer those players, no. The only person I kind of like, but he's let me down is the last couple weeks because he was playing well, was Sergio. But honestly, no, none of those guys. I know they're on the outside looking in, and there's a reason they're on the outside looking. They just haven't really been playing well long enough. And just because you have to try to get this tournament to get into the playoffs, yeah, there'll be a few guys that play their way in. There'll be some guys that play their way out, but I'm not seeing it. I don't see enough. We always talk about it. We want to see consistency from guys week in and week out. And if we haven't seen it and they're in this position right now, why get behind them now? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I expect Shane Lowry to play well this week. I think Shane Lowry to finish top 10 might be worth a shot. I think he's going to be on the leaderboard. He's a guy I can look at and say this is a big tournament for him. It's certainly a type of layout he can play, even though he missed the cut last time he played here. And he didn't have a real good PGA, but it wasn't horrific. And he did have a top 10 the week before that. So I think he's kind of approaching his better form. Lowry was a guy I had trouble. I played 4 outrights, and Lowry might have been number 5. I didn't, so which means I didn't play him, and that could mean good things.
I got some friends from Ireland, and one of my buddies was in a pub when Shane Lowry came in on his drunken Open Championship tour and got to party and sing with Shane Lowry for an hour or so. So I got pictures of it. It's so great. And he's carrying the jugs too.
He's one of my favorite players.
Great.
I mean, he's a cool guy.
So great.
He is a cool guy.
Okay, let's talk some second tier guys, I guess we'll call them.
Wait a minute. I want to get to my sexy pick of the week who never wins. Because I love getting this information out to you guys who are watching as the hot ticket for the week. And it doesn't mean, eventually one of these guys will win. But it sure hasn't happened so far, and most of these guys have not done well. And the hot ticket of the week, the sexy pick is
there you go.
Harris English. He is getting a load of play. And it's only Tuesday, so maybe somebody else will jump up and start grabbing some of that money. But there are a boatload of Harris English tickets already. He looks like the Steam Chaser special for this week. So he won't be on my card.
Be on my card to win. Maybe some head-to-heads. He's in that tier with Billy Horschel. Spieth, I guess, is in that tier. Again, what tier do you put Jordan Spieth in? Brendan Todd, a guy I will probably be fading. I don't know what's happened to his game. Sung J M has looked terrible. We talked about him when he took his week off, and we thought that'd be a good thing for him. He came back 35th in a missed cut. He's been bad. Shane Lowry.
Don't confuse him with Siwoo Kim, by the way. People get those mixed up all the time. They're not.
Well, Siwoo's been good. Okay? He's got 7 straight made cuts. He was 13th last week. He's got a win at this tournament. He was 5th last year. He's a flyer. He's one of those guys. I said Siwoo is a guy that it might be a good idea just to bet a little bit on him every single week because he's probably going to win a tournament every year and end up in the Tournament of Champions. It just seems like that's the
You're actually getting a very fair price on him in the 40-1 neighborhood. I priced him more like 25, 26-1. By the way, the trailing English right now, but the other sexy pick this week looks to be Kevin Kisner.
Because he's from there. Yeah,
I find that one of the most overrated things ever in golf. I
think it's. I actually don't like it at all when the crowds are there, because those are the guys that actually can get distracted and feel pressure. They get their friends in the gallery, so that maybe is not as much of a disadvantage as I normally make it. I used to think that was really important when I first started betting golf. It's like, oh, this guy's got a home course advantage. I mean, he's a member here, and it turns out it's like those guys don't do well. They're distracted.
So I have to talk about Ryan Moore. We have.
they're frequently hosting events and stuff like that leading up to it because they're the local guys. I don't think it's a great thing.
You're fine.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. It's time to talk
Dave,
about.
you can interrupt me anytime. You're one of the few people in life that I actually enjoy when they jump in. We have to talk about Ryan Moore. He finishes 12th at the Barracuda, and then he doesn't play in the major because he says he has a scheduling conflict with the first major, so he sits it out and says he needs rest. But he's going to tee it up this week. So I'm looking at 45, 50 to 1. Nick, I never thought I would say this. Is sitting out a major to rest up for the Wyndham going to benefit Ryan Moore this week?
I don't know how many players have ever sat out a major to rest. I mean, maybe you got an injury, maybe you got a birth of a child, maybe some other crap happened, but you know how many people die to get in these majors and he sat out? It makes no sense. Now, this week, if you're playing on him, he's a horse for the course play. He's got a win here. He's got 3 top 25s in his last 4, including 2 top 10s. And he finished tied for 12th in each of his 2 last starts this year. So he was playing well coming in. He's got good history here. He's 9th on tour driving accuracy and 40th on tour in shots gained tee to green. So, you know, I think he's priced right where he needs to be. I don't think it's going to help him that he took off. I think he's an idiot for doing so. But, you know, I think he could have a good week just because he does play well here. And he was playing well coming in. But he's not on my outright ticket. I do think top 20 plus 200 is a decent value on him. So I may have him on my card. I haven't decided yet. I'm hoping one of you guys can talk me out of it. That's kind of what my feeling is right now.
I can't talk you out of it because I think he probably is somewhere on the leaderboard here. Yeah. But he's not a guy who wins. Yeah. When's the last time he won? I know he won here, but that was like 11 years ago or 10 years ago. Yeah. You know, he's not getting any younger. At 37, I think I think his prime is past. So he's still a good player, but he's just such a strange guy. He just is. I mean, you know, if you remember back, I don't know, a handful of years ago, he went through a phase where he was wearing a shirt and tie to play golf. It's like
it's not the 20s.
Yeah, I mean, it was just he's just. And he's not a guy I trust if he's in position to win on Sunday. But I think top 20 is very legitimate.
I have 2 quick things on Ryan Moore. I mean, talk about first world problems. There's golfers dying to play in majors, and you're like, oh, it must be nice to just sit out a major so you can rest up. But if you do sit out a major to play in the Wyndham, you better have a good showing. You better not come out and miss this cut or finish outside the top 50 or something crazy.
It's not like he was okay at the Barracuda, but he wasn't great.
There's nothing to write home about.
Yeah, you know, that's a field where he's the best player in the field. He is. He's got the most impressive resume of anybody that was in that tournament. So, you know, and you didn't even get a top 10. I know it was that Stableford system, and that can kind of skew scores a little bit. But hey, the thing was on Friday, he looked like, boy, this might have been a smart move by Ryan Moore because he was really playing well, and then he kind of just was there over the weekend.
We're now to the point where I asked you guys, like, hey, you got any long shots? Except like 90% of this field is a long shot. So I'll just say, instead of saying long shot, Nick, give me somebody that's maybe around the 70 to 1 or lower as a long shot this week that you got your eye on.
All right. Well, I threw out Jimmy Furyk before. He's definitely a top 20 plus 400 play for me this week. The other guy I like is Varner. I'm actually surprised to see him right now, 70 to 1. I thought he'd be in the 40 to 1 neighborhood, to be honest. He's 25th on tour in total shots gained, 14th on tour in shots gained tee to green. He's not a great putter. He's 158th on tour, but he keeps giving himself chances by hitting greens. He's number 24 on tour. So again, yeah, you got to make putts, but you know, all you need is one week or even a couple of good rounds where your putter is hot. If you're giving yourself chances, I always like to look at those numbers of who's hitting the greens and who's getting close, and he fits the bill. I think he's an easy top 20 candidate. Plus 330 for a top 20 is screaming at me. So I think he's a great candidate for some value this week.
That's a good one. And we talked about first-round leaders and Varner tends to get off to a good start. Nick, maybe looking at Varner as a first-round leader. Dave, you got any guys maybe outside the 70-1 range you're looking at?
I like the Varner pick.
A good one.
I think Varner's got a shot. I think that early on in this tournament, Charles Howell could be a factor. It is a good course for him, even though he doesn't have a great track record in this course. But I think it's someplace that he could play well. I don't think Howell's a guy who I want for 4 rounds anymore, but he's certainly a horse for this course. I know it's not really his type of course, but Corey Connors could be a factor this week, and you're getting a pretty decent price on him. I did play 2 guys who are outside 80-1. I'm not going to tell you who those are. Because, I want a few people to buy the package, but the 4 guys I've got up, one's a favorite, one's somewhat, I wouldn't call him, he's not a long shot, he's a mid-price, and then 2 guys that I think could play well. I'll give you a hint, neither one of them is American. And is there anybody else that I thought, Furyk, certainly. I'll throw Kyle Stanley in the mix as a 100-1 type guy who maybe can do something here, but again, they weren't good enough to make my card.
Cameron in the YouTube room stole mine. I got Henrik Norlander. We call him Henrik the Highlander Norlander for no other reason than it's just a great nickname for the guy. 23rd and 6th his last 2 tournaments. It's been a while since he played it, but he does have a 16th going back. He's 7,300 on DraftKings. He's a guy that can get on a little bit of a streak. He's a top 10 in terms of fairways hit. So he's going to be driving the ball accurately. Hopefully he gives himself a few chances. It's just it's not a great field this week, guys. I don't know what else to say. So I see Aaron Wise, who has an 8th place finish. Someone brought that up in the YouTube room to say Aaron Wise is worth a dabble. I don't know if he's worth a dabble. And then just a really quick thing on Heartbreak Hotel, Zach Johnson. Poor Zach Johnson, Nick. So the craziest part was there at one point on Thursday, a Zach Johnson was in the lead and another Zach Johnson was in last place. And then the leader, Zach Johnson, misses the cut. Such a good guy. I mean, one of the most respected guys on tour. That was kind of a bummer to watch what happened to him on Friday. Yes?
It's 50-year-old guys.
ZJ. He's the hometown favorite. He's I grew up in Iowa.
Oh, nice.
And I've always rooted for him. Great to see he's a Masters winner. I always have a place in my heart for ZJ.
Yeah, that was.
How old is he now?
He's in his 40s. I don't know his exact age. I think he's still. I think he's early 40s.
41,
I don't think he's
42,
up there.
but
50,
oh man,
yeah.
yeah,
Really?
yeah. So
He seemed older than that. I guess he's been around so long. Is he playing this week?
Yeah, he's playing.
Look, Dave's getting to work. He's going for him.
Well, no, because I don't have him. I am pretty careful about. And I was right a couple of weeks ago, by the way, when we were talking about somebody who I said I don't think he's
90-1, right there with Howell.
Oh, and he started off 140-1. So all that Zach Johnson money coming in.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Where did I price him? I have him. Oh, I don't even have him on my top 60.
A couple of other interesting guys that we got this week. We've got Brian Harmon, a notoriously short player, but it was a short course. He was 6th here last year. Might be a look. He's definitely lower in DraftKings at 7,100 for you daily fantasy players. And then
not in good. And actually, he's had a weird history on this course.
Yes, he has.
Because he's got 2 top 10s and he's got 5 missed cuts.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Great.
Nick, I completely forgot to ask you. Have you ever leaned over a 6-inch putt, just barely ticked the top of the ball as you were standing on one leg, and then missed the cut by one like Ricky Fowler did? Have you ever done that?
Do you remember I threw out Ricky Fowler to miss cut as my going off the air throwaway free play last week?
Yeah,
so I couldn't have been there.
He had a State Farm policy for that.
I don't think I've done that, Andy, to answer your question.
I mean,
no.
Jeff, it's a major line up, set your feet, and hit the ball in the hole. I'm actually surprised we don't see that more often with how cavalier some of these guys are with these stupid little tap-ins. I was happy to see that because one of my biggest plays was Daniel Berger over Ricky Fowler, and I was not bummed to hear that. So, all right, we've only
Didn't have to sweat.
yeah, no, I did not. Sometimes I think I overthink some of these matchups. I could have just stopped at Berger over Fowler. Take all the money I was going to spend on plays and just Berger over Fowler. You guys know I love Berger, so.
Oh, let me give you one more guy
Give it to me.
who's out there at a big price that I didn't play, but I think could have a good tournament. It's Patrick Rogers.
Yes, he played 10
good.
miles away from my house, Avon, Indiana. Patrick Rogers. Let's see. All right, I don't have anything else. Dave, go ahead and plug what you're working on now. Baseball's keeping you busy, right?
Baseball, a couple plays up today, including a free play on one of tonight's game that you can go to at wagertalk.com, and you can watch me talk on a video for about 2 minutes on that. And then a big hockey play, which actually goes pretty soon. And I don't. 5% is the biggest play they you can post at Wager Talk, and I probably do less of these than anybody. This is the first one I've had since February, so I realized there were some months there where there was no action. So that, but 69% on those over the last 12 months, and I did decide to step up with a play where I think I've got the right side, obviously, and hope it plays out that way.
Nice.
There's no discounts on that. By the way, they kept asking me in the baseball chat, any discounts? No, you know, once in a while I'm going to try. I do one of these once on a blue moon, and no, you're going to pay the $40 for it. So, if you're a good sized player, get it, and if you're not, then or buy a package, because then you get all the plays.
Yeah,
right?
I always recommend get the full package. So the day-to-day is good if you're a lower better, but man, once you get over that $100 a bet, let's get the package. It's a bargain. Nick, what are you working on these days?
Well, we got soccer. Champions League is in full swing, and they got the quarterfinal starts tomorrow. And tonight is the MLS Cup final. Right. So we have a live show tonight. Myself and Carmine Bianco doing live betting during that game. So we'll have a couple pre-game bets, and then we'll be taking some action and talking to the viewers about what we see during the game. So tune in tonight. That game's at 8:30. We'll be on the air about 8:15. So good times right now.
Awesome. Wager Talk's really embracing the live. You're doing the live soccer. We did our second live UFC show. It was a big hit. And then this week on Saturday, me and Nathan will be live for the one of the biggest fights in a long time. The Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. We'll be doing live betting.
That's a big
huge fight. Legacies on the line, literally. And I also got NASCAR show tomorrow. Big weekend for us, NASCAR. We went 5-1. My partner Rocky, he had a bunch of NASCAR picks, so a lot of good stuff going on with the three of us. And that's not even talking golf. We're all doing well in golf. If you had the winner last week, had some head-to-heads, so good stuff, guys. Let's turn some profits this week. Dave, good luck on baseball. Nick, good luck on soccer, and then we're gonna be back next week, and then we got basically a month. 5 weeks of some pretty serious golf tournaments. So look for a lot of action coming our way from tee time. So good luck, everyone. Hope you guys make a lot of money, and we will see you next